Hey everyone, this is Kit Cabela with Hardlens Media, and this is Perspective. So, we're talking about Joe Biden again. We're talking about the Democratic nominee who's somehow going to beat Trump. He did another interview today on CBS 4 Miami, Florida, and again, it's just more fuel to the fire for the Trump administration. We've said this before on Hardlens Media that Joe Biden would be a flawed candidate and that there's a whole treasure trove of videos that the Trump campaign can use against Joe Biden. Joe Biden is his own worst enemy, but the DNC establishment and corporate media will somehow defend Joe Biden again. But looking at this video, it's filled with gaffes. It's filled with him showing signs of dementia and stuttering all over the place. When the debates happen, and they will happen, Biden is going to get massacred. But we warned you. This is your guy, vote blue no matter who. So let's just get things started and check out this first video clip where Joe Biden's talking about COVID-19 and economic inequities.
Talking to you about how this virus has sort of exposed some of the inequities in our society. And the folks we used to look past, because they were in low wage, middle class or dead end jobs, we now consider them essential workers. How do you think this changes us going forward?
Well, pray God, Jim, it changes it a lot. I've been, they're the neighborhoods I come from in Scranton and Claymont, Delaware, down when we moved from Scranton. And, these are everyone from firefighters, law enforcement officers, grocery store clerks, bus drivers, et cetera. And all of a sudden, people, not because they were prejudiced, they just didn't focus on it. People of more means thought, what's the big deal? Now they're realizing they're the folks keeping everybody moving, everything going. And I hope to God, when this is over, we're going to be able to turn what is a awful crisis and extreme damage done, particularly to these providers, and turn it into an opportunity to begin to treat them like they should be treated, with fair wages, more respect, in a position where they're going to be able to take care of their families. And I just think it's it's kind of like, Jim, the blinders have been taken off. All of a sudden, the person at the who's the high school educated woman or guy stacking the food in the grocery store becomes really essential. Or the farmer putting getting food to market is really essential. And I think there's a greater appreciation for who really makes this country function. I talked early when I announced about a year ago that we're going to restore the soul of America. We're seeing the soul of America now. These folks are the soul of America. A lot of them are scared to death, but they're still showing up for work in the essential jobs.
So, yeah, you're playing lip service, Joe Biden, and no one's buying it. You were part of an administration, the Obama administration, where you guys bailed out the corporations, big banks, and Wall Street executives. I don't want to hear you talk about how, retail workers or doctors and nurses are putting themselves on the front line. They should be taken care of. You had 8 years to fight for social safety nets and Medicare for all and student debt forgiveness, but you guys never acted on it. You sided with corporations over the people. You bailed out big banks. You bailed out corporations. You bailed out Wall Street. It's the people that were left holding the bag. And so now here you are saying, we got to deal with these economic inequities. You're the last person to talk about it. I mean, in 2005, you sided with the credit card corporations, making student debt what it is right now. So, yeah, did you know there's a lot of doctors and nurses that are right now struggling with their student debt? Yeah, I don't believe you for 1 second. But we have to move on because there's another interesting part of this video where Biden is talking about the World Health Organization, and brace for it, economic intercourse. Horrible choice of words.
If you're elected president, will you restore funding to the World Health Organization?
Yes, I will, but I'll also insist that we do what we were doing before. We had set up a pandemic office within the White House, President Obama. We had CDC, the folks for the Center for Disease Control, forward stationed in other countries to anticipate when we might see a virus coming, a pandemic coming, because there are going to be more of these. And I would get much more engaged in the world. We can't step back. If, in fact, for example, we solve the problem in the United States of America and you don't solve it in other parts of the world, you know what's going to happen. You're going to have travel bans. You're going to not be able to have economic intercourse around the world. There's a lot. Look, when America goes alone, when America is first, it's America alone. And the idea that we're stepping back from the world leadership that we, in fact, engaged in during the virus and the pandemics in the past, it is leaving it leaderless, as a matter of fact. And so we have to get back in the game.
All right. Talk about a Freudian slip. Economic intercourse. That's probably the only thing people are going to remember from that clip. They're not going to care about anything else that Joe Biden was saying. He is his own worst enemy. And I don't want to hear from anyone in the Vote Blue, no matter who camp, saying that, oh, well, Joe Biden was trying to say something important. He can't remember anything at this point. And he's going to say those horrible words, economic intercourse? I mean, what does that even look like? No, wait, never mind. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know what's going on in Joe Biden's brain. But this interview then turns into another thing altogether where they talk about China and his son.
Well, one of the issues is going to be China. That's one of the reasons why the president cited for pulling out of the World Health Organization. China is likely to become a major issue in this election, in part because of the coronavirus. I think you've been critical of the way the administration handled China. The administration has been critical of the way you were, when you were vice president, were dealing with China. I guess I want to ask you, do you think that this is going to, in fact, be a major issue? And are you vulnerable on this issue at all because of your son's business dealings in China?
No, I don't believe so at all. My son's business dealings were not anything with everybody that he's talking about, not even remotely, number one. Nothing to do with me, number two. And to talk about business dealings, look at the business dealings the president has with China. He owes apparently millions of dollars to the Bank of China. He's got patents from, I mean, this is all about whether or not we're going to be able to coexist with the biggest population in the world and make sure we're the one to set the standards that the rest of the world repairs to. That's what it's about. And it's about dealing straight up and straightforwardly with China across the board.
All right, did anyone understand what Joe Biden was trying to say, at least? I mean, it's difficult to sit through this whole entire interview and, rewinding the video time and time again. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly he's saying. But here's the real truth. It's just more fuel to the fire, like I said before. More ammunition for the Trump campaign to use against Joe Biden, because there's this interesting video.
A 2013 trip to China getting new attention this morning, not for what Joe Biden did, but for who he brought with him. His son, Hunter, joining the then vice president on the official visit to Beijing, along with Hunter's daughter, Finnegan. Unknown to the press back then, Hunter Biden was forming a Chinese private equity fund, planning to raise money, including from Chinese investors. Years later, Hunter Biden acknowledged that during the trip, he met with a Chinese banker, which his spokesperson describes as a social visit, not a business one. 10 days after the Biden's trip, Shanghai authorities issued the fund's business license.
Like I said before, there's a lot of video evidence to use against Joe Biden. With the power of the internet at our disposal, we can look up our politicians' history and their voting record and what they have done in the past. DNC, corporate media, what makes you think that Donald Trump and his campaign won't do the same? And with all this evidence out there, we might as well just say Biden's done at this point. There's no defending somebody like Joe Biden. There's just no way. But hey, everyone has Trump derangement syndrome, apparently. This is why I'm voting third party, because this entire system is sick. It is disgusting. This is thanks to neoliberalism, it's nepotism, it's corruption, and at the end of the day, Joe Biden is the last person to be put in charge of anything. But yet, this is who the Democrats seem to want. This is who the establishment seems to want. This is who all the other presidential candidates seem to have rallied around because they signed that sacred document. But whatever. But hang on. This video does make a kind of funny side note. Well, it's not too funny. Check this out.
Have you been tested for COVID-19?
No, I have not. I haven't shown any of the symptoms, and I have not been tested.
Okay, so he hasn't been tested. Great. Well, look, here's a newsflash. COVID-19 doesn't give a damn who you are or what social class you're part of. From what we have seen, numerous world leaders have been impacted by COVID-19. and members in our own United States government have also been impacted with COVID-19. So, good luck, I guess. He should get tested. All of our elected leaders should get tested, and it's very sad to hear that he hasn't been tested, and no one in his campaign has actually taken the initiative to get him tested, because again, we're still finding out more information about COVID-19 and how exactly it works, but it doesn't inspire confidence. Again, this is why I'm voting third party, because I don't believe the propaganda from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. It's a two-party system, and this is why we have to break it up as soon as we can. But before I end this video, I just want to play one last final clip where Biden is talking about polling data and telling the truth, I guess.
Florida politics, just how do you win Florida? You're in a situation where Hillary Clinton lost this state. The governor is a Republican. Bill Nelson couldn't even win the state in 2018. How do you win it in 2020?
It's 2020, and they've had a good dose of the President of the United States of America. Now, again, it's early on. The polling data shows it a toss-up, either me ahead or him slightly ahead, but it's a long way to go. It's about telling the truth.
Okay, so I think we all know that polling data is BS. I have learned that when it comes down to how corporate media basically gathers their data, there's a lot of inaccuracies at this point. So perhaps this race is 50-50. It's up in the air. Either Biden wins or Trump wins. All I know is at the end of the day, the real winners are corporations, the lobby groups, big banks, Wall Street executives. We're the ones left holding the bag. But throughout that whole 9-minute interview, and I do encourage you guys to check out that full interview out, not once does the reporter ask him about Tara Reade. Yeah, I'm going to go back to this. Because again, more evidence is coming out against Joe Biden. He could go up there and, say that polling data's doing this, or we can tell the truth, or whatever, and then he plays lip service to essential workers. No. The real truth is this. Biden and Trump are flawed individuals. These are the last two people who should be put in charge of the country. I don't want to hear this BS of team playing or being part of a team. I don't want to hear that crap. This is a sick system that we have. And the establishment media still refuses to fully talk about Joe Biden and his history of sexual abuse, harassment, rape towards women who used to work for him. And look, I know that Trump has the same history too, but I'm not going to vote for two individuals that have a questionable history, that have abused people, and that more importantly, they don't care about the working class. And this interview, once again, proves to me why we need to walk away from the two-party system, why we need to break the monopoly of corporate media so that we, the people, can actually take charge of our government and also create a media that is designed to inform and empower the people. Our politicians, there might be some people that you like, but we can't hero worship these people. We got to hold them accountable. And corporate media has failed to hold Joe Biden accountable. This man is going up against Trump, and it's going to be a disaster. And there's going to be more interviews like this. And again, it's going to be more ammunition for the Trump campaign. At this point, maybe the DNC doesn't care whether they win or lose. But the American people deserve real leadership. The American people deserve someone that's actually going to fight for them. Joe Biden, he doesn't know where he's at. He has no idea what's going on. But people need to hold him accountable. And obviously, you're not going to get it from the corporate media. You're not going to get it from the DNC. You're not going to get it from the Vote Blue, no matter who people, because everyone, like I said before, has Trump derangement syndrome. There's a reason why we got Trump in the first place. It's a disaster. And again, this whole interview that we saw Joe Biden participate in, once again, proves our point here at Heartlands Media. We got to have real change. And the Democrats that dropped out of the race, at the end of the day, it should always haunt you knowing the fact that probably your individual campaigns could have done better than Joe Biden. But yet, everyone had to sign that sacred document. Everyone had to fight and resist Trump. But no one was really paying attention to the real issue, and that is people don't believe in the current system that we have. Neoliberalism is killing us. And Joe Biden was a major contributor to our current system that we have. We have no social safety nets. We don't have student debt forgiveness. We don't have Medicare for all. We don't have medical debt forgiveness. We're constantly involved in these regime change wars. We don't even have a full functioning UBI. This is why elections matter. This is why people need to step up and fight for a better future. This is Kit Cabell with Hard Lens Media. Peace to you guys, and this has been Perspectives.